gripping threat to Trump. "We had to sit back and suffer through 8 years of Obama as our president. He blatantly put our country in danger and would flirt with terrorists every chance he got, and this is the result." Iranian officials have come forward and said that they have no qualms about acting decisively against our country. The reason for their threat is because the Senate just voted to impose new sanctions on the Islamic regime. Iran is saying that President Trump violated the Obama-era Iran deal, and that America will be harmed. Via the Washington Free Beacon. Essentially, Obama drafted up a plan of action with members of the United Nations Security Council. The agreement was called a Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. It lifted heavy sanctions off of Iran, in hopes that they would come to their senses and quit messing with nuclear weapons. This deal that Obama helped craft lifted billions of dollars of sanctions against Iran. The country could trade in valuable resources such as their oil and natural gas, and the country was able to be invested in again. You would think they would be appreciative that at least one president favored them over the citizens he is supposed to represent. Here is the insane part. The inspections on Iran to ensure that they had their hands off of nuclear weapons and that they were not enriching uranium never happened. They were allowed to run unchecked, and they even resisted multiple investigations. In other words, Iran got what they wanted, and they were allowed to back out of their end of the deal. This plan has Obama written all over it. Obama was spending his time sponsoring terrorists, arming the Mexican cartel, and allowing a flood of illegals like we have never seen before enter the country, but we are not supposed to be angry? Now we all have to sit and wait to see what Iran is going to do next. It is pretty unbelievable that they would have the gall to threaten us after Obama pretty much saved them from falling into pieces. President Trump let it be known from the start that he was not a fan of the Iranian nuclear deal. He believed, much like we all do, that Iran is violating their terms of the agreement. There is nothing there to even reason with at this point. They can't say but we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, because they would be lying. The main reason Trump is leery is that they will not allow an inspection of their nuclear program, even just to ease the minds of the people who pulled them out of a bottomless pit of despair and debt. If you want the icing on the cake, consider that the Iranian government is openly testing ballistic missiles right in front of us. This move should be considered a slap in the face, and we need to be on watch. We are confident in the abilities of President Trump and James Mad Dog Mattis to secure our country from these savages. I guess this is one of those times where the old punchline still works, thanks, Obama. Do you think we should act against Iran before they come after us? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Hillary just got bad news from DOJ. The patriots of this country have been on to Hillary Clinton for years. We are all patiently waiting for the day that all of her lying and deception finally catches up to her. Justice may finally be coming for Clinton, and she laid the trap herself when she got involved with James Comey leading up to the presidential election. Comey ended up getting terminated by President Trump, and now, a new FBI director has been confirmed. Trump's nominee, Christopher Wray, is now director of the FBI via 92-5 vote, according to The Hill. Will he renew an investigation into Hillary's crimes? Hillary should be shaking right now if she knows anything about Christopher Wray. Wray worked in the Department of Justice in the past under the Bush administration in both 2003 and 2005. He served as the Assistant Attorney General, and his job involved him investigating fraud cases, specifically corporate fraud. If the new FBI director decides that he is going to take a look at Hillary Clinton, her associates, and the Clinton Foundation, things are going to go south for the failed presidential candidate in a hurry. Wray spoke after getting selected and passed a powerful message to the American people. He explained that he cannot wait to be the leader of a group of amazing men and women of the FBI. Ray went on to say that he knows that they have dedicated their lives to protecting this country, and he sounds like he is willing to do the same. Surprisingly, even the Democrats were interested in getting Ray into his new position. But, of course, there is a catch. Liberals believe that Ray is going to side with Robert Mueller and his investigation into President Trump. We know that Mueller is siding with the Democrats on the case, or it would certainly seem that way. According to The Blaze, Mueller has hired a series of lawyers that have either worked in the Obama administration or donated to the Clinton Foundation. If you know anything about the Clinton Foundation, you know that they are full of the worst kind of scammers. We are talking about pay-to-play deals, people like Cheryl Mills getting special treatment, and a wide variety of other suspicious activities. We have our hopes up that Ray is going to see through any deception on Mueller's part and see through this nonsensical investigation as smoothly as possible. Once that situation is out of the way, he can proceed to take them down once and for all. We suspect that when Clinton falls, the Democratic Party is going to fall behind her. She has too many ties to too many big names for the Democrats to continue like it is no big deal. Loretta Lynch, Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Debbie Wasserman, and everyone else involved in Hillary's shady backroom dealings is going to go down with the snap of a finger. There is not even going to be a foundation left for the failed party to stand on. Do you think Ray is going to be able to take down Hillary Clinton once and for all? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Famous rapper takes a break from beating women to send Trump a nasty message. It seems like no matter what President Trump tries to say or do, there are always going to be never-Trumpers in place to trash-talk him. Most recently, the president had a conference about capturing as many members of the dangerous MS-13 gang as we possibly can. Rapper Chris Brown was up in arms over Trump's message to police that they should not be too nice to the thugs they put in the backs of their police cars. In what can only be described as a message of confusion and incompetence, Brown posted on Instagram, "What in the actual F? He giving police more right to F up young black men." Brown_Instagram. You remember Chris Brown, don't you? He was the guy caught punching his girlfriend in the face on a security camera when he thought no one could see him. First, and most noticeably, how is it okay for him to beat up a young woman, but protest a message as threatening that was both taken out of context and not directed at him? Even he has to see how crazy that looks. Second, and as previously mentioned, the message had nothing to do with Brown. Unless he is a member of MS-13, then maybe he would be a little upset. But the message was addressing the growing gang problem as MS-13 makes its way into 42 states, not young black men. It is incredible how these liberals take a story that has nothing to do with them, makes it about them, ignore the good behind it, and then whine that the president doesn't do anything. President Trump is trying to clean up the streets. He wants to get these violent, and mostly illegal gang members out of our country because they are tearing up black communities. These terrorists are bringing guns and violence to the black neighborhoods that are screaming for protection. Make no mistake, MS-13 isn't discriminatory about what communities they infect. The point here is that President Trump is doing something to protect the neighborhoods that Brown swears he loves so much, and how does Brown react? Brown acts like a spoiled, uneducated, and selfish child. Brown is on a mission to stir up attention anywhere that he can get it. He knows that all he is famous for anymore is his penchant for domestic abuse. The only way he can get the community to interact with him positively is if he supports liberals and their manufactured causes. There is a reason that he does this though. Brown knows that liberals will accept anyone as long as you agree with their opinion and skewed worldview. It is a shame that President Trump is attacked for making valued contributions to the community by making the streets a safer place. If liberals would accept him as their president and try to work with him, so much more could be done. Instead, we have petty people like Chris Brown stirring up the masses. Do you think Chris Brown is just acting like this for attention? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Is it time to consider repealing the 17th Amendment? If you sit down and read through the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, you will discover that the Founding Fathers had a brilliant system in play. The 17th Amendment is currently foiling the plans of the founders. Is it time to repeal it? The 17th Amendment changes the way that senators are chosen, as Mike Huckabee points out. We could repeal this particular amendment, and it would cause waves in the current political system, a system that was never meant to be in the first place. Huck_tweet. If the 17th Amendment were repealed, our country would revert to the original system where state legislatures picked the senators. If this were the case, complaints by Arizonians about weasels like Senator John McCain, R.Oz., would very well end in his recall. The 17th Amendment came to be because progressives fomented the people's distrust in their state legislatures. They advanced the false narrative that state lawmakers were too corrupt to keep tabs on the senators. Well, look around you right now and tell me if we have seen the end of political corruption in this country. If anything, we see something far worse. We are witnessing senators that have not only made a career of public office, and not doing it well, but senators more beholden to their political parties than their constituents. As an example, we are all furious that Obamacare has not been repealed. If all of the members of the GOP were doing their job, they would have voted to repeal in a heartbeat. If the 17th Amendment were non-existent, our state legislatures would be able to exert pressure on the senators to vote the will of their constituents. Instead, nothing can get done because of political interests, and perhaps personal vendettas are stopping progress. McCain soured on President Trump 2 years ago when he remarked about preferring soldiers who do not get captured. McCain took it personally and has held a grudge to this very day. How do we know he's holding a grudge? Well, he has been talking about repealing Obamacare for years. Now, suddenly, with the ball in his court, he is going to drop it? That doesn't make much sense. What does make sense is he saw a chance to stop President Trump from furthering his agenda, which just so happens to be the agenda of the American people. He took that chance, and now everyone is furious with him. It shouldn't be this hard to pass the repeal of a piece of legislation. If we dispensed with the 17th Amendment, the original recourse of state legislatures applying pressure on federal senators would force the will of the people or result in the recall of the offending senator. Call it a hunch, but we feel that if we repealed the 17th Amendment, the attitudes of people like McCain would change quickly. Once they discover that their career is on the line, they would find it in their best interests to follow the will of the people. While it would be a challenge to repeal the amendment, it is worth examining. If we can find a way to get it done quickly, we could restore some of the freedom back to the people of this country. Do you support a repeal of our 17th Amendment? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Breaking: Paul Ryan makes shocking wall statement, media wants this hidden. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, our wit, has been known for his odd love for open borders, despite claiming to be conservative. Now Ryan has announced his position on Trump's proposal to build a wall on the southern border. On Monday, Ryan came out and said, "It is time for the wall." No, you are not dreaming. Paul Ryan finally got a little bit of common sense and learned why Border Patrol is so important for our country. The news came just after the House voted an impressive $1.6 billion down payment for construction on our new border wall. It seems that the Speaker of the House gained some common sense when he took a tour of Texas's Rio Grande Valley. Ryan spent some time talking to the Border Patrol down that way, and it convinced him that this wall is mandatory. Ryan spoke during the video, and he stated that, when you see what they're up against, it really gives you even greater respect for what they do. They clearly need more tools and more support to do their jobs effectively. That's why we're going to get this done this week. We were shocked, too. The Daily Caller reported the victory in the House with the $1 billion+ fund to get the wall started. Honestly, we have needed this wall for years. It took President Trump coming in and being man enough to tell them that enough is enough. As a nation, we need to quit playing games with the lives of our friends, neighbors, and family. There are all types of unsavory characters crossing over the border that do not belong here. For example, members of the dangerous gang MS-13 love coming across the border and causing havoc in our country. These thugs don't just believe in murder, but believes in torture, murder, and exposing the victim's family to their crime. It is appalling that they can come here so freely. WorldNet Daily reports that MS-13 has made their way into 42 of our states. Since the gang tends to stick around other gang members, we are not talking isolated cases here either. According to Breitbart, the funds that were approved are going to be used for a variety of purposes, all of which contributes to the wall in one way or another. There is funding for the Department of Defense, Department of Veterans Affairs, and the Department of Energy. Furthermore, the funds were approved by a 231-196 vote. It is nice to see some members of the GOP come to their senses. Paul Ryan will be a valuable ally for Trump moving forward as the wall inches closer to completion. Now, we just need to get the select few members of the GOP who oppose the repeal of Obamacare on our side, or get them out of Senate. Whatever happens first is fine by us. Moving forward, we can't wait to see the construction begin. Our borders will finally be secure, the way they should have been years ago. It is time to continue making America great again. Were you shocked that Paul Ryan turned his opinion on Trump's wall around? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Alert: Russian leader drops Trump bombshell, media humiliated. The relationship between the United States and Russia is teetering towards destruction due to the Democrats. Dems go out of their way to spew propaganda about Trump and Russia with zero evidence to back it up. President Trump recently signed off on new sanctions against Russia Wednesday, and as you can probably imagine, the Russians were not pleased. The Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev verbally attacked the sanctions as provoking a trade war of sorts, according to Reuters. That sure doesn't sound like the kind of talk you would expect from someone that supposedly worked with Trump to overthrow the election. CNN clarified that the bill was passed by a 98-2 vote in the Senate and a 419-3 vote in the House. In other words, the decision was so concrete that not even a presidential veto could stop it. Russia was not the only name on the sanction chopping block. North Korea and Iran also had new sanctions put against them. They all have their own reasons, but it seems clear that Russia is simply being punished because the Dems are so convinced that they hacked the election, whatever that means, that they deserve to be punished. Vladimir Putin retaliated when he got news of the new sanctions. The Russian leader responded by sending 755 U.S. diplomats back home and also taking 2 American properties in Moscow that were designated for diplomats, according to The Hill. Let's not forget that Obama went out of his way to take 2 Russian mansions from the United States last year. Putin without a doubt had this on his mind when he took back the 2 diplomat homes in Moscow. Medvedev expressed his disdain for the sanctions through a Facebook post. He stated that, first, it ends hope for improving our relations with the new U.S. administration. Second, it is a declaration of a full-fledged economic war on Russia. The Russian Prime Minister went on to say, the Trump administration has shown its total weakness by handing over executive power to Congress in the most humiliating way. In all honesty, President Trump has done everything he could do up until this point to try and remedy the situation. Americans are starting to wake up to the fake news put out by the mainstream media. Most sane, rational Americans agree that the whole Russia-Trump story is nonsense. Outlets have gone out of their way to expose the lies, with great success. The never-Trumpers are going to keep on fighting against the president, even if he offers to do everything they want and more. The left is just looking for reasons to complain, that is all there is to it. Right now, the media has sensationalized the hatred of President Trump. In their efforts, they have alienated a majority of their audience, and their ratings are reflecting their decision to ignore journalism and focus on business. It is going to take time and a lot of work, but we can make things right again. We have to start right here in the United States. The Democrats need a reality check, and President Trump is just the man to deliver. Do you think Russia has a right to be frustrated over the Democrats' lies? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Watch WikiLeaks founder just exposed Hillary's dirty secret, total media blackout. Democrats have proven time and time again that they couldn't care less about the American people. Instead of trying to enrich the communities they live in and touching base with the folks who might vote them in, they would rather run their campaigns on fake news and their hatred of President Trump. A meeting with Julian Assange revealed some crucial information that the patriots of this country need to hear. Hillary Clinton is one of the main criminals who tried to run on the premise of hating Trump in place of having a political message with any real meaning. We know that already. However, Assange dropped a bombshell when he revealed that Hillary Clinton has done quite well strategically to try and draw a connection between Trump and Russia because she has so many connections of her own. The founder of WikiLeaks continued by explaining that after investigating the 2016 election firsthand, he did not discover a single tie between Trump and Russia. In other words, the left is going to whine and screech WikiLeaks and Russia are the same thing, because WikiLeaks doesn't side with them. Liberals don't need facts to make such a bold claim, and you better believe them, unless you want to be labeled a racist. Dems honestly believe that they can say and do whatever they want because they have moral superiority. Little do they know that everyone else just sees them as a pathetic joke. Assange went into further detail though. For our liberal friends, these details are called facts, that show the clear connection between Hillary and Russia. Clinton worked with Russia to develop the Uranium One deal. This deal occurred when Clinton's State Department gave a Russian company control over 20% of America's uranium production capacity for, get this, a $1 million donation. Yet, Trump is colluding with Russia. Right. Uranium One started in Canada and was slowly sold off to the Russians between 2009 and 2013. Their plan was to take full control over the American uranium production. Clinton worked closely with the Russians to make sure that everyone was happy with this deal, mafia style. The New York Times shockingly, or perhaps not so shockingly, reports that Hillary Clinton was the only American on board with this deal who personally benefited from the exchange. It only gets better from here. So, since 2008, multiple people involved with the Uranium One deal ended up donating a combined total of $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. There was another occurrence back in 2005 when Frank Justra, the CEO of the not-yet-developed Uranium One, went on a trip with Bill Clinton to Kazakhstan. Justra's mining company ended up winning access to a major uranium reserve mere days after the visit. Obviously, the Clintons are filthy rich. However, there is no doubt that both Hillary and Bill's relationship with the Russians helped increase their money substantially. The big question is, why is the mainstream media silent about this blatantly obvious collusion? The simple answer is this: They had to spend all of those funds from Russia somewhere, right? Do you think that WikiLeaks has managed to expose Hillary once and for all? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice. Breaking Bill O'Reilly issues urgent warning to Trump. It's war. The no-spin zone master himself, Bill O'Reilly, has an important message for President Trump. He needs to hear this from every single patriot in the country. O'Reilly put his warning out on Twitter for the world to see. His message read, "If Republicans in the Senate do not stick together, they will lose. And so will working Americans who deserve a tax cut." O'Reilly continued, becoming clear that Senate Democrats are not going to cooperate in any tax cut legislation designed by Republicans. Nasty brawl shaping up. The president needs to let those words echo in his mind because they are 100% factual. We have witnessed the GOP in conflict with itself on issues that should be cut and dry. For example, John McCain always opposed Obamacare, according to The Hill, until Trump tried to do away with it. Democrats sure are not going to cut Trump any slack, either. They don't even know what they want. All we have gathered from them is that they are really upset that Hillary lost the campaign, and they're going to try to take Trump down however they can. One of the best points that O'Reilly makes in his tweet is that the Republicans in the Senate won't be the only ones to lose, the American people will lose, too. We voted in President Trump because his agenda aligned with ours. Now, because the Senate wants to oppose Trump, he can't get legislation to move through that reflects how we the people feel. It is a disgrace to our political system that there is this much turmoil. It should be as simple as the party following the lead of the Americans who voted for them. Now, it is this clogged, messy system, where personal agendas always prevail. Enough is enough. It's time to take our country back. Obamacare has done an immeasurable amount of damage to our nation. The only way we are going to be able to fix this problem is if we repeal it now and wash our hands. If we have to wait around until it inevitably crashes and burns, the taxpayers are going to be left picking up the pieces. O'Reilly muses at the end regarding a nasty brawl shaping up, and he might not be far from the truth. The tension in Washington is already so thick you could cut the air with a knife, and the pressure builds every day. Simple interactions are becoming these messy, emotionally charged affairs, and we only have the traitors in our government to blame. The only way we are going to be able to get control of our system again is if we kick out these rats who don't want to do their job and refuse to obey the will of the American people. It is sad how unfit for office some of these people are. Let's go back to John McCain. The man is holding a personal grudge against the president because of something he said 2 years ago, so now he is making passing legislation impossible. It doesn't have to be this way. We are tired of the personal interests of our politicians outshining the wishes of the majority of this country. We demand to see real change, and we demand to see it now. Do you think Bill O'Reilly was onto something big with his tweet? Share this story on Facebook and let us know because we want to hear your voice.